Dear students, we will continue with the poetry, and today we will be discussing The Tiger, a poem written by William Blake. The Tiger contains only 6 stanzas. Each stanza is 4 lines long. The first and last stanzas are the same, except for one word change. Could becomes dare. The Tiger is a poem made of questions. There are no less than 13 question marks and only one full sentence that ends with a period instead of a question mark. Addressing the tiger, the speaker questions it as its creation. Essentially, who made you? Who made you, Mr. Tiger? How were you made? Where? Why? What was the person or thing like that made you? The poem is often interpreted to deal with issues of inspiration, poetry, mystical knowledge, God, and the sublime. Here, the important thing is sublime. What is sublime? Anything which is big, mysterious, powerful, and sometimes scary. The poet uses the phrase to love God is to fear Him. It was said by William Blake. But it is not about one thing. This is William Blake's assertion that this poem is not about any one particular thing. For better or worse, there really is no narrative movement in the tiger. Nobody really does anything other than the speaker questioning the tiger. The first stanza opens the central question: what immortal hand or eye could frame thy fearful symmetry? The second stanza questions the tiger about where he was created. The third about how the creator formed him. The fourth about what tools were used. The fifth stanza goes on to ask about how the creator reacted to his creation. And the creation here is the tiger. And who exactly was this creator? Finally, the sixth restates the central question while raising the stakes. Rather than merely question who could create the tiger, the speaker wonders who dares. The symbol of the tiger is one of the two central mysteries of the poem. When we say two central mysteries, the other central mystery is the tiger's creator. It is unclear what it exactly symbolizes. It here refers to the tiger. But scholars have hypothesized that the tiger could be inspiration, the divine, artistic creation, history, and the sublime. In the poem, a blacksmith uses the tools to make objects. In the case of this poem, a tiger. The word forge, to create or form, is a smith term as well as another name for a smith's furnace. Smith here refers to the blacksmith. The smith reference also ties into all the fire imagery associated with the tiger and heightens the energy and danger of the tiger's creation. Now, there is one word, lamb. It is symbol of Jesus Christ. We can say the lamb of God. As the tradition holds, animals such as lambs were sacrificed to God or gods in general until God offered his son, Jesus Christ, his lamb, as the final sacrifice for the sins of mankind. In line 20, Blake references a version of Christianity that states that God created Jesus. It is the Protestant version versus the Catholic doctrine of the Trinity. In any case, you don't need to know all the theology, just that it's a reference to Jesus and an allusion to Christianity. Blake asks whether God, who created Jesus, also created the tiger. Also, don't forget that The Lamb is the title of another poem by Blake, and it is included in the collection The Songs of Innocence. The two poems are often read together, but we do not have this poem, The Lamb, in our syllabus. But you can read it for your own knowledge about William Blake's poetry. The use of smithing imagery for the creation of the tiger here comes to Blake's own oft written contrast between the natural world and the industrialism of London of his day. While the creator is still God, the means of creation for so dangerous a creature is mechanical rather than natural. In form and content, the tiger also parallels the biblical book of Job. Job too was confronted by the sheer awe and power of God, who asked the suffering man a similar series of rhetorical questions designed to lead Job not to an answer, but to an understanding of the limitations inherent in human wisdom. This limitation is forced into view by the final paradox. And what is the final paradox? Did he who made the lamb make thee? Can the God of innocence also be the God of experience? It is taken from the two volumes of Blake's poetry. One was titled as The Songs of Innocence, and the other one was titled as The Songs of Experience. If so, how can mere mortals trapped in one state or the other ever hope to understand this God? So that's all for today. We will continue discussing poetry in our next video. Thanks for watching.